Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Monday, April 1st, 2024. And I just realized it is April Fool's Day. And I didn't come up with anything to mess with you guys this morning. So bright and all on this Monday morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe. Listen, today is what a lot of society calls Minority Health Month. However, in the Java Cafe, in the theme of your healthy Java, we're going to say BIPOC Health Month to be sure that, you know, we are blatant about the fact that, you know, people of color are not a minority. We're actually a majority in the world. And that's why there's so much going on against us, because the browning of Boston, the browning of Massachusetts, the browning of America. But with that being said, we're bringing in someone that is not unfamiliar to the Java Cafe. She is a staple. She is a co-commentator. She is just staple in the Java Cafe and a pillar. And so we're going to find our own way of honoring her soon. But we want to thank Dr. Brandy Brooks, who's coming in the Java Cafe. Let's give her a hand as she's coming in this morning.
Morning, y'all.
We got
sorry, I'm all congested. Y'all can hear it probably. But in the spirit of April Fools, I just want to say, hold on, let me pull it out. Hold on, let me stand up.
The Jesus.
No. I gotta stand up for this.
You got on some
Atlanta Falcons world champions. Let's go. I'm rocking my big chain.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to let you know that we had technical difficulties with Dr.
Atlanta Falcons 2024 world champions, baby. Yeah.
The only thing I'm going to give you, that's a cute little what you got on? Is that a robe or
it's you know, what I call today is, and again, I'm about to see what happened was, but what I call today's outfit is when you're not feeling well, but you still put on clothes. So
you just do something on, Jesus. All right, so I have to think.
This is, look at that.
This is nice.
This is nice with my
your big old. Did you get that? Did you make that, or you get that? What in the heck?
No, I didn't make this, but I have one that I did make, but I didn't.
I'm not talking about the robe, the wonderful.
Oh, you're talking about this chain?
That big, what's the boy's name? Flavor, big old Flavor Flav Falcon.
It's about Flavor Flav in your ear, baby. But no, so I didn't make this. This actually, my auntie bought this for me. So I was
just happened to get it to you just in time for your appearance today.
No, I've had it for a while. I've been saving it. So Atlanta Falcons 2024 champs.
What number is this though? How many rings do y'all have?
Look, if it's April Fool's, it'll be number 12.
But the reality is, so anyway, I do want to give because I was watching In and Out. I was watching the game and I'm like, oh God, for the first time, Dr. Brandy's going. Oh, I thought you were showing it again. I'm like, oh, gee, you might as well keep it on it. Why are you taking it off?
This thing heavy, y'all. This thing.
Dr. Brandy, I ain't messing with you.
I don't know how Flavor Flav wore them check. Like, this thing is heavy. Okay?
Listen, when I saw the game, I'm like, oh God, we're gonna have to hear about this. It's the first time in a long time that Dr. Brandy's will be able rather to come on and talk about her wonderful Falcons. So go
Oh,
ahead.
are you?
I'm
Oh,
not,
I was like Falcons or the Hawks recently because
well, I saw that the Hawks beat
the Hawks been trying, but look, I ain't getting too hype about that.
I saw that
like,
too, and I was like, I'm going
yeah,
to have to hear about that.
I don't get too hype about that or even regular season games because again, I look at it like this. The Celtics in the East and the Nuggets in the West and even the Nuggets overall are the team to beat, right?
Mhm.
And so every night you're going to face your opponent's best because they think of that as a way to dethrone you, right? I'm very clear about that. And so
Mhm.
the Hawks beating the Celtics is like, woo, throw your popcorn, everybody celebrate. But what did you actually accomplish? Like, talk to me if the Hawks if they are able to get through the play in and they are the first round opponent for the Celtics, then we'll have something to talk about. And they actually do something. But otherwise, man, chat, please.
So you're not giving them that much.
Nah, I mean, I'll give this is that for those who love basketball, it was a great game. And one thing I don't think people are thinking enough about is the legacy of basketball. So, and again, and lately I've been on this like whole history documentary kind of thing. But I was reading about the NBA, like just about the history of the NBA. And, they were talking
Which
about
is
when Magic,
interesting.
yeah, it's so interesting. But they were talking about when Magic and Bird came into the league was really on a downswing. And facing like bankruptcy. They were like, yo, if we don't start making money, because not many of the cities were actually financially viable, right?
To
Like they
hold
didn't make
teams, yeah.
enough to carry the whole league.
Yep.
Now they definitely do. And so they were talking about this Magic Bird really brought in so much money. And then you saw kind of the Jordan brought in so much money, the Jordan Pistons rivalry, it brought in so much money in the 90s. And then now I think people really don't think about how much LeBron, the Stephs, the KDs have
Yeah.
brought to the league in terms of viewership. And so I think about kind of what is the league going to look like 3, 4, 5 years from now? Like All Star is not the same. It's become an exhibition for all it's like, oh, it's just not the same. So like what is the sport going to look like? And I think the same thing about football, my own personal favorite of all of them, track and field. Like what is the sport going to look like?
A
So
lot
yeah.
of a lot of the sports have become very interesting. There's this whole thing with LSU and comments made and whatnot. And so
Yeah.
there's that piece of
And betting.
financial
Betting.
betting. Well, see, that's a whole nother. Okay, we don't want to get too far off. What we're
Look.
gonna get ready to do is check in, and we haven't done this in a while. And we'll get back to Dr.
Oh,
Brand and
right.
also Heidi Ivy in doing some commentary around sports. And so today we're going to focus. I told Dr. Brandy not as much as of our usual banter, but we're going to talk about the status of BIPOC mental health in America from her perspective. Now, Dr. Brandy is not a clinician. But she moves in the space, and we'll have her tell you in a second what her doctorate is in. But we're going to take it back a little bit and ask you in the comments to go in and tell us right now. Let's do a check-in. It is Mental Health Monday. What is your mental health status today? Go in the comments. I see Dr. Brandy getting ready to put her word in. Well, not put in the comments, but let us know what her word is. And I'm looking at some of the comments here, and you all are too funny. So Dr. Brandy, for today, what is your word for Mental Health Monday? One word that describes your mental health status today.
Scrabble.
Scrabble.
Yep.
Okay, you're gonna have to give us that context in a minute. We got some words ready to come in go over those in a second. I will say my word for today, I would say is somewhere between, I'll take a host privilege and say organized chaos. Those are my 2 words today. So Scrabble. Why do you say Scrabble?
Um, okay, so if I think about the definition of the word, or one definition, it's
Mhm.
like you're scrambling for something, you're scratching, you're
Okay. But you
touching the
said
surface.
Scrabble. You did not say scrambling.
Oh, did I say
We are not playing
no,
games.
I said Scrabble. Scrabble is the act of scratching or scrambling for something. It actually
I need somebody.
that's what it means definitionally.
Mhm.
Okay.
Definitionally.
Uh, definitionally. But no. I say the word Scrabble because maybe it's because of my cold, my congestion,
Okay.
being a little medicated, that no words were coming to me. So it was like all scrabbled up. And I thought of the game Scrabble in that sometimes, and I think about this, if you think about it from a mental health context too, is sometimes we can't always pinpoint
Mhm.
exactly what emotion is
Yeah.
boiling to the surface
Yep.
because there's been so many, and sometimes you experience so many emotions in a short brief period of time. So it is like Scrabble. You take your little bag and you're shaking it up, right? So
You
today's Monday, it's the first day of the month, it's April Fool's. So I got my little bag of lettuce and I'm just shaking it up, and I'm like, can I reach in? And y'all, I did not say scammed. Okay, y'all.
so
Okay, I
Dr.
know.
Brandy, you
I
literally
know my
tried to take me to
accent.
church
No,
real
no,
quick
I
and
know my
out. No, no,
accent is
no.
real
You tried
bad.
to
I
take it to
know it
church.
is. Y'all, I
So
know it is.
that
But I said Scrabble, like the game Scrabble. Okay.
so you tried to take it to church a little bit with talking
No,
about
no, I
picking
really
the bag.
actually meant that. I actually meant that.
Mhm.
You kind of have your bag and your letters.
It was
And so
cute.
for me, for the month of April, I don't know what letters go come out that bag, but I hope it makes a beautiful word.
Doctor, okay, you coming in kind of cute this morning. All right, so here's the shot with here's the shot with the word Scrabble. There we go. All right, so mine is, what did I say? Organized chaos. I
Yes,
would
you
say
said
that
organized
because
chaos.
in the piece of what you said about last week, celebrated anniversary, kind of reflective, pensive, impact, what's next, and things like that, as much as talking about just some transitions and changes going on. So the roller coaster of the emotions piece is definitely real. I think the other perspective of organized chaos is, on one side, I'm like, things are settling out and things are cool. But then on the other side, I know what's coming. And like every weekend this month, there's something. One weekend is the whole weekend. And it's just a lot going on. So let's go in and see what they've said in the comments. And Dr. Brandy's going to get ready to
Pizza
check in with
shot.
now.
Thank you. You spelled the word exactly
Yeah, we
how
said
I
that.
said it.
We said
Scrabble.
that. So we're going to go in and check with the audience and see what their things were for today as Dr. Brandy gets ready to check in with us on a more serious note around where things are in mental health spaces in America. And so Leslie, who has a book out, she said amped. Naraki, something like me, and said quietly noisy. I like that. Quietly noisy. Nicole said that she is busy. Mama Java said she said Scrabble, okay, I'm not even going to go there. Tashad, there she goes with the proper spelling of Scrabble. And also Nicole said busy, taking care of my family, keeping my house in order and sanitized. Interesting. Douglas, what's up, brother? Good to see you in the room. Quincy said that he is feeling restored. What's up, Quincy? And Sharon Cornelius said that she is ready. Asia is saying grateful. We want to pause for a minute. Asia celebrated her 50th birthday on this weekend. So everybody put happy birthday in the comments for Asia. Saw that on social media. Good to see you in the room, Asia. I was supposed to be out of town, but we'll talk about that later. Who else came in with comments? Miss Teresa said determined and creative. Mama Java said happy. Heidi said her word is refreshed. And Michelle said peaceful. I think we got everybody. Okay, we got everybody. We have the birthdays going. Okay, Dr. Brandy, you, Toy, who we have to acknowledge also. Thanks for coming out last Friday night. And let's just also say, Dr. Brandy is a big part of the work that goes on within Dee Dee's Cry. But you and Toy move in the space of like mental health, suicide prevention. We saw your presentation a couple of months ago out at Encore. We got some downtime. What, from your perspective, Dr. Brandy, where you're seeing things, what in this BIPOC Health Month and all that's going on from your perspective, what is our mental health status generally in America as Black Americans right now?
So that's a lot. I just want to say that's a lot. Morning, everybody. Happy birthday, Aries and Taurus. I'm a Taurus, so birthday month. But so in terms of mental health state, I think one of the things I think about is around equity, equality of service, equity, equality of symptomology, equity, equality around access, equity, equality around treatment, equity, equality around prevention. And so when I think about mental health in the US, I think about those things. And I think until we address certain inequities, we will always see, know, feel, experience differences when it comes to life, quality of life, severity of illnesses, access to treatment. And so, as a community, as a whole, we will not reach our full health potential until we deal with those things. And I mean, every metric you can look at tells us that. So I would say right now where we are is we've definitely had more focus, more spotlight. You can see that in terms of studies that are coming out, news media, just conversations, right? Just regular conversations that we are having around kitchen tables, around water coolers, etc. But what we aren't still seeing is those conversations, the attention leading to decreased inequities. Because again, it's going to take time. It takes time. It's not overnight. And so that's the piece is, can we shift there, even knowing the narrative of right now funding being what it is and other things that some of the resources may be cut. So I think for me, again, if I answer the question more globally, that's my answer is we still got some work to do. And that's why I'm wearing these long sleeves so I can roll them up.
You better go ahead and draw that analogy. And so I had Amari on Wednesday, and we were talking about reparations and redress. And that is one of the things that came out of that conversation is that, and it's sometimes to simply put it, there's an attempt often to put a Band-Aid on things instead of just addressing them and also looking at strategically and intentionally the things that lead to how we got the cut or whatever. And so in that perspective of what you're talking about, as far as a lot more work to do, you're talking more about policy. It's really around policy and hold on. And so in the fact that we need, if you think about it, it is policy because when your policy addresses inequities let's take health disparities, for example, being in the hospital and how patients are engaged from insurance companies and the fight that people have to go through for certain testing. That's an example of a policy that a medical industry can do. There's another example of policy as far as like, I would say state, but healthcare policy is more federal, what is being done. And Dr. B, this is a good example. You talk about inequities. There's a lot of federal policy around what y'all can and cannot do with y'all bodies. That's a good example there. So go ahead.
Well, I'd say yes to policy, but also practice. So we
Okay.
can have
Yep.
we can have as many policies
Got you.
as we want.
Yep.
But the realization of policy is practice and implementation and aims.
That part.
And so, like, we can tomorrow enact a policy, but it's about the practice, the implementation, and the aims. So that's why I just don't, for me, it's not just a policy thing.
Okay.
There are
policy and practice, would you say?
It's policy, it's practice, and it's also we as a community need to be part of the aims and the implementation. It cannot be
the design, period.
And the design, we have to be at the table and at the forefront of it. It cannot be something that is helicoptered in because you have issues with sustainability when it comes to that. And so, I mean, so that's why I say it's not just policy. It's a lot
policy
of policy
and practice. And again, we have to consider, we move in certain spaces. And so policy, when I'm saying that, for me, that implies trickle down, all of that other stuff. But the intentionality,
don't use that word.
The intentionality around implementation, because there are some policies in place right now. And as you said, they may not be fully implemented. And so the practice of that, we had a physician on last week, and we were talking about the importance of, an attending does one thing or whatever, but if that is not handed down to the resident and the fellow, that policy not being practiced properly. So I get your point there. One of the other perspectives, because we have Cory McCarthy coming in at 9:40, we double team today. He's going to come in and talk about the truancy or addressing truancy at 9:40. But one of the other perspectives specifically and we've talked about this a lot, Dr. Brandy, as we were in it, as we thought we were coming out, as we thought we were getting out, and then as we think COVID is dissipating, variants are decreasing from a mental health perspective, and you can lean a little bit into your presentation, where are we as Black America in as far as Black folks in our mental health status? Mental health is a part of health. So specifically to that, from your research and what you and Toya are working on at Dee Dee's Cry, what is your peer review from what you're seeing in articles and research?
Okay. Wow.
We thought we did not know Dr. Brandy was not going to feel well today, but you got
it's all right. It's all right. My 50% is still okay. So I think one of the things, as I mentioned earlier, that we still see and is a lingering impact of COVID is structural inequities being exacerbated and structural abuses coming to more forefront.
You mean after COVID and George Floyd and all that DEI wonderful stuff?
So I think of it like this. I don't know. There's lots of numbers being thrown out there. But let's say during COVID that the amount of money that was spent globally was $20 trillion. Let's just a guesstimate, right? So let me ask you, are communities better? Are communities better? Did statistical indicators get better?
No.
Do we have more X or more Y or more Z of anything? And so the question is that despite intentionality, despite some practices, despite some policies, there are still this layer, this veneer that exists.
You said this veneer. Oof.
Yeah, right. Look,
Go
you
ahead, go
see
ahead.
what
Stay focused, Dr. Brady. Stay there.
I know you gotta stop because I'll easily become squirrel. Um, but that's the thing is what the lingering impact is that for communities that were already struggling,
Mhm.
it just highlighted the struggles. It's like a one of my favorite poems is like the rose and the concrete, and that idea, like essentially the COVID-19 highlighted the rose. It highlighted the rose.
Yeah.
It said, oh my gosh, look at these beautiful roses. But what it didn't do is remove the concrete so that more roses could grow. And so that's the piece, is
Uh-huh.
that I'm really not trying to go there, but it's April 1st. I guess I am. But that's the thing, is that we know statistics tell us COVID-19 disproportionately impacted Black communities
Yep.
across the United States, and it unmasked race-related health inequities. Period.
Yep.
That is a fact, right? But then the question is, when it highlighted that and it became focus and intentionality, and you had trillions of dollars piling in, have we seen improvements in those same zip codes, in those same regions? That's the issue. And so that's why I say is that, whether it's health, wealth, or other things, there is still this layer and this veneer that is hard to penetrate. It
Mm.
is structurally there, and it remains.
I wanted. Okay, you done opened up an interesting can of worms here that we might need to go into another part. We have Cory McCarthy in the background, who I'm going to ask you to help me segue a little bit into a lot of the impact that you talked about. Unfortunately, has demonstrated itself in our young people. You see the stories of the mental health impact demonstrating itself through interactions with children, teachers, our school staff are dealing with things, and attendance is a big issue. And so as we get ready to transition into that part of the convo and bring Mr. McCarthy on in just a couple of seconds, from what you're seeing, your full-time position works a lot in education advocacy, if I'm correct, higher ground.
Yeah.
And so what is your purview as far as the impact of everything that you said, BIPOC health in America, including mental health, on our young people as students?
um, I think the thing that we throw around, and I heard this, and I'm so sorry I won't get it um, as correct as it was
The best
stated
you
then,
can.
because it was so beautifully said. I was at a conference, or it was online, but you had Dr. Curry and Dr. Simon on the conference, and they were talking about the state of Black mental health in Boston. And I believe Dr. Curry made a statement about, the Black don't crack, right?
Mm.
Right. But we do age. We get crinkles.
Yep.
And so and we get permutations. We get other things that happen. And so I think about, when I think about COVID and the long impact and all of that, we know that there was a burden of, and I see it in some of the comments, infection, hospitalization, and death.
Yep.
But at the same time, there was significant economic, social, educational, and behavioral health costs. And one of the things that we are seeing is that, with respect to education, and this was well researched and written about, is that there was, depending on the region, the zip code, the city, the state, there was at least a year and a half to 2 years learning loss that was experienced, because digital learning just did not compute well
Mhm.
for many different reasons. And so if you have that, and then you have all the other traumas, because the same things adults were experiencing, kids were
Yeah.
experiencing too. Let's not forget that. And we always say, and again, it's a beautiful thing, kids are so resilient, but let's not take that for granted. Babies were struggling.
Yeah.
Just like parents were. And the thing that's more heartbreaking is that babies were struggling, but they may not have the same vocabulary as parents do. They may not have the same behavioral adjustments that you get as adults. And so how does that come out, or how are we going to see that again years down the line?
Dr.
And so
Brandy, I'm sorry. We got you up to your 100% tapped
yeah.
into. Hopefully, that don't try it. Hopefully that pulls on you feeling a little bit better. But I wanted to go to Shad's point that yes, a ton of learning loss and social emotional wellness deficiencies as well. And so, Dr. Brandy, in fairness, Mr. McCarthy, I guess because he's from BPS, I'm going to call him Mr. or like the students say, Miss.
Oh, is that Cory?
That is Cory. He's getting ready to come in and talk about the whole Win the Day campaign.
Hey, Cory.
Back there.
Hello.
So, Cory, you two go ahead and greet each other. I don't know, you were in the background listening to Dr. Brandy's perspective. Any feedback you want to
Absolutely.
go into that before we talk about Win the Day?
Hi, Brandy. How you doing?
Hey, Cory. It's good to see you.
Yeah, we have to connect in our next meeting.
Y'all just catching up all here in the job.
I appreciate your points about the impact that poor mental health. I think people just use mental health the noun sometimes, but the verb sometimes could be what happened, the damage that's happening to our kids in our community, and to sort of discount the impact that it's had on our kids. And that lifestyle our kids have it bad enough with transitions, and now we have a lifestyle. It was a lifestyle shift to go into COVID, and now a lifestyle shift to exit COVID. And then if you had a job during COVID, you have to go back to school and make no money. So like it's hard. It's hard. You go from $1,600 a week. I mean, every 2 weeks, working under the table somewhere or making money. If you're overage and you're undercredited, and you're making $1,600 every 2 weeks, bringing it into your household, and the rent is crazy, and now you got to go back to school, and to do what, right? So like that leaves an impact. A lot of things we don't talk about in the Black community is isolation, right?
Cory,
The isolation, like we can't with around people, we can't be left alone with our thoughts. Around people, we can't be left alone. But now if we talk about being by ourselves and having a conversation, then having to depend on the phone or like somebody to pick up, and then the ideology of somebody missing and not replying to your text when you need the most, like that wears on an adult, much less a kid. So it's deep.
And one thing I was reading about too, Cory, with the isolation is the impacts of social media cannot be undercounted, because they were talking about, when you just spend, like literally just how your brain reacts when you're on, say, TikTok, and you're just watching video after video after video after video after video, just what that does. Like they're hooking people up in terms, and you think about when you say the isolation is, with our young people, how does social media play into that in terms of feeling connection, like just connection to another person and feeling part of a community? I know for some it's a positive, it's a benefact.
This is an example. I was just thinking that it's
like,
two-sided.
Yeah, it's two-sided because you could get access to anywhere in the world and so much information. At the same time, you're in your house and you don't have that physical connection that is necessary, for especially young people. Like, we are social beings.
Yeah.
And so I just wonder about that too, with the increased isolation.
Mm-hmm. What a transition. Clout is a community killer, right? And if you are on social media, imagine if we just work on like increasing what is the relevant and positive clout in the community, right? Through social media. What if we told more stories? What if we help students and people and humans in general design ways that they could sort of have the right conversation that lead to the right outcomes? What if we just came back from COVID and was like, hey, every kid whose family makes under $60,000 combined should get free education for the next 10 years? What if we came back and said that?
What if?
Like, what if we just said those things and just allow kids to fail their way through to being successful? The thing is that our kids don't get the opportunity to be successful. They only get one chance, and they only get to eat off of one plate, and they only get to taste one meal. Like everybody else has choices. So when people come and say that we are giving the kids too much, or they don't understand that their day, the adults, their day ends with the kid when they go home. You know, when you're in student support, that's your 1 a.m. That's your, hey, I'm hungry. That's your, hey, I don't know what to do with myself. Hey, what are these resources? So and I tell people, we should have bubble wrapped our children after COVID. And that's what we're trying to do now. They needed some bubble wrap. And is it happening? Yes. I feel like we're starting to make some gains, but we should never be happy because our kids deserve everything and more.
I see here that we're probably going to need to have maybe a after dark sort of unlimited conversation about not only the impact, but I would not, Dr. Brandy, I was going to ask this and we went a total different way. But we can't go from this segment without asking you, Dr. Brandy, one thing the community can do to just be ready and sort of address this, because we're raising a huge issue and resources is a key thing of this platform. So from Dr. Brandy, before you leave, one thing from you that we can do as a community, or parents, you and Cory work in that space, one thing that folks can do to address this and support the work that both of you are doing around addressing issues with our young people post-COVID, before COVID?
So I'm gonna borrow a tagline, from the see something, say something, which was MBTA. But I'd like to go further than that. You say, see something, say something, do something, and follow up.
Okay.
So, and I mean that in the sense of, we can't know everything about everything. But if you know someone is struggling, or you notice that their baseline is not where they are right now, then say something, do something, follow up. Because I think that's where it starts. Because I don't want to get too highbrow into policy. Like, I'm just talking person to person. See something, say something, do something, and check on folks that you think are the ones holding everything all the time. Check on them too, because everybody has struggles. Oh, did it hit you a little bit? Everybody has struggles, and oftentimes, we're quick to check on the one we think, or something must be off there, but we don't check on the ones that are doing the checking. And that's important, is that if we're really going to heal and move as a community, we have got to start doing more of see something, say something, do something for everyone. And don't assume. And then my last comment, just because I know it's going to irk a lot of people. Falcons.
Dr. Brandy, get ready to get up off of here. Listen, for Belinda.
It's April Fools. They going to win the championship.
Gotcha. Belinda was in asking a question about, or citing something. I know, Dr. Brandy, we went a whole different way today. But she was mentioning something about therapy. And so, Belinda, please check out this resource here. And even where Dr. Brandy was also talking about see something, say something, do something. Here's a resource from our good friend, Cory. If you don't know her, we'll make sure you get introduced to her, because this is a good resource for you to be able to give
Absolutely.
to your parents, is Pure Spark. That's doing a lot in the mental health space, along with Dee Dee's Cry as well. And so we went a total different way in this transition, a little bit longer. But Dr. Brandy, as always, thank you for coming in. And a lot of folks are talking about just the insights and the resources that was received today, despite real Boston. Woo, who heals the healer? All right, we're going to get ready to go, because this definitely can be a whole session in itself. Dr. Brandy, again, thank you. We're going to continue, Cory, but I think I think we needed that transition there. So thank both of you.
Perfect transition.
As always.
Bye, Java fam. Love to update and keep connected with y'all. Happy birthday, Aries, Taurus babies, and go Falcon.
Get off of here with this go Falcon. Go ahead. Bye, Dr. But Cory, for some reason, I'm getting ready to call you doctor. But
not yet.
You better go ahead and get that PhD. I want to give it out.
I'm gonna take my time.
All right. I'm out here doing the
work. One announcement and a piece of paper ain't gonna change the work I'm doing, but it's nice to have.
Listen, see that quick. Cory McCarthy just left us on that wonderful cliffhanger. We're going to take a quick 30-second break, and we will be right back with you. Cory, we'll be right back.
For the innovators, the dreamers, the risk takers, independent workers who keep our neighborhoods thriving, Connector Care from the Massachusetts Health Connector has plans for every lifestyle and budget.
Having access to affordable healthcare is for everyone in our community.
Connector Care plans help more people save on healthcare that covers all their needs. Find out if you qualify for Connector Care. Visit mahealthconnector.org or call 1-877-MA-ENROLL.
Listen, everyone, we are back with Cory McCarthy, who is the Chief of Student Support at Boston Public Schools. And as Dr. Brandy raised, it's so interesting that we haven't really did a lot of focus on Mental Health Mondays, but I'm glad we're doing that today. However, one of the impacts of COVID and just everything before COVID and even still now is the impact on our young people and their attendance and their support that BPS is trying to provide. I will say, we have the mayor on Wednesday. And so as far as like the budget cuts and all that stuff, we'll talk about that with her on Wednesday. But today we want to focus on the great work that the Office of Student Support is doing. And so, Cory, I think this is your second time on the show. Folks got a good purview into your philosophy and who you are in that transition with Dr. Brandy. But if you could just tell us a little bit about what you do at BPS, and let's jump right into how we tell folks that our young people and parents in our community are going to win the day.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. I think once I get to my third one, I'll be officially a veteran. So, once again, my name is Cory McCarthy. I'm the Chief of Student Support at the Boston Public Schools. We mentioned earlier that we really do try to bubble wrap our kids environmentally, academically, mentally, and to make sure that they have the appropriate layers and the appropriate space for them to be curious about the world and make their world a whole lot bigger through supporting them, providing access and opportunity, but also like having our amazing teams of nurses and clinicians and youth opportunities and counseling intervention center, athletics, to have those folks available to support our kids. I'm here today to talk about our attendance campaign, appropriately called Win the Day. I think once you dig deeper into the chronic absenteeism in our schools, it's pretty high. And we use Region 8. Region 8 is a subset of 10 very vastly different schools. You have Boston Arts Academy, you have a pilot school, you have an alternative ed school, you have some thematic schools, we have some competency-based schools, and we're sounding the alarm. We're saying that we have kids who are not just post-COVID, right? We have kids who we have not essentially provided the conditions for them to be successful. We have kids where we understand that health has had a direct impact. Economics have had a direct impact. Safety has had a direct impact. Ability to to recover, to sustain their academics. We looked at originally this came from the Boston Compact, who wanted to do a larger um, attendance campaign. But when you look at February and March, this is the time of year if you're a student that didn't pass quarter one and didn't pass quarter two, and you're probably going to fail for the year. Why are you coming? Right. So, but we're saying here we're going to help you build a path for you to be successful so that you can possibly right, start at any point, right, and have the ability to recover, have a ability to sustain, have ability to stabilize. And one of the things that we're doing is really sounding the alarm. Chronic absenteeism is a crisis right now. Everybody's going through it. The suburban schools are going through it, but we just can't wait. We have to move really urgent about this. Um, some of the things that we are doing is really digging deeper, and some of the strategies that we're using, I think, are well beyond the typical incentive piece. We are going to homes. Um, we are working with community-based organizations, nonprofits, amazing media partners like yourself, and we're saying, hey, here's our signage. Here's where a student can get their resources. Here's someone that can call you, can talk to you in your language, hear it and say to you, hey, this is your reason that we're not only should you come to school, we're ready to receive you. So when we're looking at those points, we're saying, what are some of the things that help our students be successful? Well, one is innovation, right? Our students are some of the most amazing people. And if you talk to them and you say to them, hey, all right, what do you want to do? And I think one of the pieces is like, a kid needs to hear what they want. They need to hear that question every single day or every other day. What do you want to do? Right? Are you okay? Right? How can we help you be successful? So we're really focusing on some of those things. Some of the students that we have are court involved or involved in DYS, where it's supporting them to come to school, and really providing job opportunities for them. Part of this is one of the key strategies that we're using is a strategy called Tag a Friend. We asked 10 kids from every one of our Region 8 schools, and we're going to create teams. So we have Team Jimmy. Team Jimmy's going to ask 5 of his friends and say to his friends, hey, listen, I'm running Team Jimmy. I need 5 of you guys on my team. I'm going to text you. I'm going to call you. I'm going to wake you up. I need you to get to school. Right? We also have a contract with Lyft concierge program where we're able to get students to school who and their parents to escort them to school through a ride share. Sometimes our MBTA stops are sort of like a hindrance for our families where they don't want to sort of like go through a Forest Hills or Ashmont, no disrespect, or from around there. But to get kids to school directly through a rideshare program, where otherwise they would not go to school, is another piece. Adding morning intramurals to schools, where students can come in and play a volleyball, a soccer, a basketball, and then come back, is because we're in the age right now where kids watch each other play video games. So what do you think is going to happen? Kids are going to come to school early and watch people play. So now we are now inviting kids to come back through intramurals. We're also looking at how we can use our local community assets, working with the clubhouse. They have a cybersecurity program. It pays kids $1,000 to complete it. We're now going back to the schools and say, hey, can we give them credit for that? Franklin Cummings was another partner.
Yep.
We're saying, can we go through 9 weeks of an exploratory program where a kid learns about HVAC one week, computer science another week, with a renewable energy another week? Can we give them credit? Can we pay them? And can they go and take some free courses after that? So now we're not only are we getting them to come back, getting them credit, we're also helping them reinvest and reappropriate their efforts back into the community. So, and then we're looking at parents and we're saying to parents, hey, listen, this is a heavy lift. Do you need food? Is there a substance abuse situation? Is there, and the form that you just showed is just a very simple form. Tell us what you need. In our home visits, the home visit script before is just sort of like, hey, why don't you come to school? This one is like, hey, listen, I know it's been hard. I know it's been tough. 100% tell us what you need. And then our team of folks in student support and our C3s in the district and safety, we're saying, all right, we come back into and we have a wonderful student supervisor of attendance, Amelia Lopes. she's from Boston, and she says, oh, and we go back to her and we say to her, hey, how can we problem solve around this? And what do we do? We go back to the family and say, hey, all right, let's get to the building. Let's problem solve. Okay, do you need a pathway to graduation? Let's do this graduation audit. Do you need some support? Do you need a Saturday program that's going to help you recover academic days or recover your grades, right? So now if you're a student, so we are putting students in a position where they have no choice but to come to school. But I think I want to highlight what some of the barriers are. It's hard to be a kid right now. It's so hard to be a kid right now because you feel like unless we're ready to receive you, we feel like we're losing out on something. And if you're looking at some of the barriers that our students have, we have to look at how we remove them. So food insecurity is a real thing. A job is a real thing. Getting places is a real thing. Sickness and support, mental health
Sir,
support.
come on. I'm sorry.
It's a real thing. So uniquely, what I love about student support is that we do have our social workers who are connected, right? And it's a huge resource for us to tap into directly. So we're talking about direct services, right? And then while teaching and helping our students who are furthest away from justice say, hey, school's the safest place that you need to be. And one thing that we don't account for as adults is the fact that makes this win the day so appropriate. The fact that every day a kid gets to school is a win.
Yeah,
it legitimately is a win. Like getting from A to B is a win in a city that's not always with the elements aren't always kind to young people. So as we pack all those pieces together and we progress monitor specific progress for students and the calling and the home visits, and then the businesses come into play. When a student walks in a bodega and they see our win the day sign with a QR code, if I'm the person, the cashier don't gotta say anything but to point to the sign. Hey man, it's 10:30. I'm with them. I'm with them.
Cory, so I'm sitting here listening and I see one question and then a whole lot of comments. And please let me know what your drop dead is, because I know we had you at 9:40 and we went a little bit
all
longer.
good. I'm with you.
Okay. And so I believe, Ms. Teresa, that this is specifically for BPS students, and I believe it's 7 through 12, grade 7 through 12.
Well, one of our schools, the Henderson, they're K through 12. So, and I think one thing that I failed to mention, so chronic absenteeism are students who come to school less than 90% of the time. Mm-hmm. What we said, no, let's get some swag for the parents who send their kids, not the kid, the parents who said perfect attendance, the kid gets all the accolades. But let's reward the parents for sending the kids to school 90% of the time, so you don't drop on the 90 as well, right? So I think we're now like we are bubble wrapping around the state, the how students are positioned in schools, and then to help them then be successful. Now is it easy? 100% not at all. Some phone numbers don't work, right? Yep. Somebody ain't answering the doorbell. If you're someone who's probably not documented, why are you answering the door to this bald-headed black dude, right? But what you do from there is not close the door. You find a friend, right? You have the friend blue check you. You know what blue check is? If I blue check you, that means I'm cool with Java with Jimmy. So the kids are blue checking for me, and they get us access to that student. So I think that approach is allowed, and it will allow us to say, hey, every student has an opportunity, even in April, to come back finish strong. We have an opportunity in the summer. You have an opportunity on Saturdays. You have an opportunity to make money. You have an opportunity to graduate. So if we're looking at some of our strategies that we are using, we're also coming back to the table and saying, hey, City of Boston, we love you. Mayor Wu, tell on Thursday, thank you for supporting us and helping us. Shout out to our superintendent for getting us a very impactful budget. But we're also sounding the alarm. If we want kids to come to school, we have to invest, right? We have to invest more and we have to provide the appropriate supports, and then look at the people who are doing it, because data is cool, but nothing drives change like people. And
So Cory, sorry, it's so I got a
No, we
few
good.
questions in here, and so you sort of addressed it a little bit, but I want to put that graphic back on because I think it's important for folks to know the impact. And there was one statistic here surprising for me, and it was some presumption that, you know, it was, and this is Black and brown, and we're not going to get into all of around the diaspora, but if you look at the numbers there, the chronically absent are about 884 grades 7 through 12, if I'm reading this right.
Right. But
Black,
this is not all BPS. This is this particular region.
this
Right?
is region 8.
This is region 8.
Okay.
Right now, the chronic absenteeism is going down. We have where one of our departments is youth opportunity youth, and that team of SOAs has been really working diligently. Our executive director Brian Marks have been working diligently. Chronic absenteeism is down, but it doesn't stop me from sounding the alarm. Chronic absenteeism is under 90%. So you're looking at students who come to school less than 90% of the time. So this 884 number is the students who are under 80%. No, we didn't even go to 90. So like we're looking at that 884, but that's not the thing that's glaring. We're looking at the Hispanic and Black number here.
Two highest numbers.
They're the two highest numbers. So then once you start seeing that, you see the pattern that historically comes with the marginalized populations and the barriers are very glaring. Health, environmental, academics, sense of belonging. And we have to work on those things, right? By truly, truly digging in a little bit deeper. If I'm a school leader, I shouldn't have to sit with that by myself. Your student support is being what it exactly is, and supporting folks as much as we can while pulling in the community. I've talked to city councilors. They have contributed, and we have some videos coming out from them. We've partnered with some of the folks from Ace Tickets that will allow our kids to really, really chart their progress by helping them with incentives and supportive help academically. We have some academic opportunities for students as well. Not all our schools can't do it alone. Our district can't do it alone. Our city can't do it alone. But we often talk about how we can include our community-based organizations and our media partners in this work. This is not a school district should not work in isolation. We have reached out to folks, and folks have responded kindly, and we hope that this will really, really create a paradigm shift where more kids come to school. So while Region 8 is just sort of like our pilot, trust me, the big wave is coming down the road.
The big wave. There's Cory, there's just so much here that you've spoken to. We have comments and Pam Leans is in the building from Boston Education.
Hey, Pam.
Saying that we need more of you within BPS. And it's so interesting because I would not be my authentic self to sit here and be bewildered by the fact that you're pulling all this off in the midst of budget cuts, but then also highlighting the investments that are needed to ensure that programs like this and others still stay in place despite what we're going through with the BPS budget. But again, we're not here to talk about that. If I could just ask you to speak to one thing, just a point of advice, way out in Worcester, but this is something that is common here within BPS as well. I constantly struggle with my 10-year-old Gretel stressing over doing well in school, specifically ELA. Is that a new test? And,
ELA, MCAS.
And I guess ELA and MCAS is this week. And so if there are parents that you could speak to that are supporting their children that are gearing up for these tests this week, what would you say to them?
Well, I think we do I think we as a larger community, I think the whole approach to presentation around high stakes testing has proven to be problematic for our kids, right? I think they hear the language they hear and the messaging they hear is that you have to pass this test for you to be successful anywhere else.
Can I chime in and ask one specific thing for our children that's really a very interesting issue right now is if you are English is your second language, this is your parents' trying to make sure that you pass. When you said that in translation or in how the parents understand it, they're also passing that on to their children, maybe without. So when you said that, I'm thinking about our brothers and sisters who've migrated here, and all they're hearing in different languages, you don't pass this test, you don't, and so the stress of that, along with everything else that they're dealing with coming in, that just, when you said that, that hit me.
Right. So I think for the parents, right, I think they just need some positive affirmations, right? Like, I know who you are as my child, right? I know that you're gifted. I know you're talented. I know that your pace, that nothing that all this is a very small indicator of what you know, but it's not who you are, right? And I think we have to really, really look at how we approach our kids from all the people around us, right? I think that messaging should not come from the parent alone. I think when they get on, when we should, the messages on buses, the messages on social media, it has to be everywhere. You are not your score. Your score is even lucky to have you attempt to choose, or right. But what this does is helps us and helps the larger ecosystem communicate what you need. So instead of saying that, there's some sort of dog whispers in the atmosphere that makes us feel like pressure. And the last thing our kids need is additional pressure, right? Like, there's too much pressure to wear the nice sneakers. There's too much pressure to match your clothing. Like, just like when I was a kid, I couldn't wear no Pumas and a Nike shirt. That was the old pressure. The new pressure is like, hey, I'm gonna take a picture of it and put it publicly. So while we have these dynamics that are adversely impacting our kids, and looking at a 10-year-old, how are we receiving that 10-year-old after he or she takes that test? What is the messaging? What happens after that? And mom, I applaud you, and I'll talk to any kid who needs any encouragement around that. But I see I tell them, yes, and you know what? That is, a student really doesn't know. And this is me. This is my experience. We never know what we get from our kids, not until when they turn 18, when they turn 24.
And at this point, Cory, we might be, that 24 was 24. Established when I was in direct service. And we were like, 18, and then it changed to 24.
No,
Sir,
it's 24. You can't tell me I arrived when I just left the house. What you need to do is give me that 6 years to figure out, because at 24, you're either escaping college, deciding if you should have went, right, or entering your business, right, or you're out of some sort of apprenticeship, or you've already dealt with the tough relationship that has could either hurt you or advanced you. When you get to, I don't want to hear anything from a student until I see them at 24, because the ones I see at 24 are like, you know what, Cory, you were right. Or it's like, or you know what, Cory, I should have listened. And I say to them, hey, you're 23, 24, let's make it happen. So in between 18 and 24, what are we really giving us, our kids in between them, if it ain't college? So going back to the point around like connecting this to sort of our campaign, is sort of saying like getting the data and identifying the critical and key trends that prohibit our kids from going to school. One thing I'll tell you straight up, and I don't care who is listening, our kids want to go. These kids want to go. They kind of really can't. So there's a myth out there, they don't want to stay. They don't come to school. No, they want to go. But we oftentimes have to look at the conditions that we set for kids to be successful, and whether or not, and we have to evaluate and interrogate ourselves over and over and over and over and over until that one kid succeeds, and then do it for the next kid, and then the next kid, and the next kid. That's what school is, right? It's not no, sit down and be quiet. No, it's no, come here, get what you need, right? Help us grow, and then pass the message on to the next kid, right? Like that's what it's supposed to be. So right now, I think that we're at a place where with the attendance campaign, where we're saying like, hey, let's try these new amazing things, and let's be innovative, let's be thoughtful. The superintendent has been 100% behind this effort. You see, there's a quote from the mayor and our school committee chair, Jerry Robinson. Our community members, we met with the faith-based community. We're saying to them, hey, talk about this in church. Talk about this in church. Our sports folks.
Yesterday would have been an opportune time, Jesus, but go ahead.
Oh, and you know what? Jesus has another opportunity next Sunday as well. It's Saturday. So, he gets it. So we are not just saying like, hey, kids come to school. We're saying like, hey, we're gonna do some of the lifting with you. We're gonna help the parents. We're gonna remove some barriers, and hopefully it'll land us in a place where kids could not just be there but stay there.
Cory, there's just I'm glad we Cory and I are working on a couple of things. Oh, quick plug on Friday, April 19th. I got to circle back with the email. Some of you have heard about Healthy 617, and a lot of what Cory is talking about right now, we captured last June with a youth student-driven campaign that we're going to gather with our young people on the 19th, which is also the same week as the HBCU college tour.
Yep.
So can you talk about that a little bit? Because now, the way I read it, we're going to go back to this and close out. The way I read it was that they're coming. Folks think that they're going out of town. I got texts or emails. Isn't that something that folks can go to locally, or am I off?
All right, I got you. So
okay,
that's what you got me here. We are. If it's the tour we're doing. So we've
about the BPS one, that the bowling and that.
So this year we have more than 8 different groups going in BPS. It's historical. More than 8 groups going to HBCU tours.
They're traveling.
So I partnered, our division, we partnered with my brother's keeper and Office of Black Male Advancement last year to take some very young high schoolers, males, to HBCU schools last year. And if you look at the data on their experiences with discipline, the numbers have gone drastically down post HBCU tour. Like kids went from saying, I don't want to do I don't know what I want to do, to, hey, I want to go here. What's my GPA?
Exposure, access.
Let me get a transcript. We came back this year and said, hey, we have to do something with the girls.
Okay.
So we have one bus going to the DMV, and we have another bus for young women and another one for young men.
Okay.
And we're traveling together, 2 separate buses, 2 separate hotels, the whole 9. And we're going to the DMV, Howard, Hampton, Virginia State, Virginia Union, Bowie State, Coppin State, Morgan State. Last year we met with the mayor of Baltimore. The brothers kicking up.
Yes.
Us right now. He came through and spoke to us. So, really shout out to Frank Farrow and his team, in the mayor's office. And, and for our folks, for really, really, I think the HBCU fever in BPS right now is at an all-time high. In 36 hours, we had 300 kids sign up. We can only take 94. I got
a text and I told them to email me, and then I was going to forward it, and then I'm looking and I'm like, oh, so they were already behind the curve.
It's heavy, but like when we're talking about like that belonging piece, right? There's no greater bubble wrap for a Black student than the HBCU.
Absolutely.
And dealing with some of the hierarchy between the Black community at HBCU is a navigational tool you will always need, because there's hierarchy within the Black community. Some people from the outside think that all Black people are the same. Nah. There's some entitled Black folks out there too, right? I don't know, no matter how much money I make, that'll never be me. So, but at the same time, what the power of an HBCU, because don't forget there are PWI power structures who are embedded in other schools who do not push HBCUs, right? But we are pushing them because we saw what it did for those young men last year, and we saw how they were able to transform in a matter of 72 hours. It went from why am I here to I want to go here. I can see myself here.
Cory,
and we're happy to run it back this year. But we're also happy to support Healthy 617.
Yes, right? Sir.
And and we're gonna run that. We're gonna make sure that we get that to be as student driven as possible and get the message out there. May 24th is going to be Mental Health Awareness Day for BPS. We're definitely going to love to have you and be a part of the festivities that day. I think, for all the folks who watch The Wire, and remember The Wire,
Yes,
the
sir.
greatest saying ever: all the pieces matter. Right?
All the pieces
And
matter.
all the pieces matter. So if we're looking at how we build this sort of connective tissue for our students, not just our Black and brown, all of our students, because the beauty of our Black and brown students is that the way other cultures are able to learn from them is equally as they grow and understand the world, other cultures benefit from that as well. And I think what we completely discount how white students are able to learn from being amongst a healthy Black community, not an unhealthy Black community, right? And when sometimes people question, are Black kids getting too much? No, they're not getting enough. And while understanding that other people can learn from that, from healthy relationships. So all those pieces matter. And what we're trying to do is to be continuous and be relentless in some of the things we do, where our commitment to literacy, our commitment to mental health, but most importantly, we want to see our kids and we want to see them happy. And we want to see them get to 24 and give them the ability to pivot. Our kids sometimes don't get the ability to pivot. We want to pivot. So when we're able to pull those pieces together, we truly get a complete and whole outcome from a student. And we're not just pushing, hey, let's go be a doctor, let's go be a lawyer. No. Let's do something you want to do so it doesn't feel like a job, and let's do it in our community. Let's work together to solve some of these community problems through our young people.
Cory, there's just so much, and
I get it.
we're getting no. I just my brain is all over the place. There are questions in comments. If you have a chance, if you can just go back and look, we can
you got me for another 10 minutes
today.
before somebody reports that I'm on here too long. Go ahead.
No, you're
I'll play with you. I'll play with you.
The highlights of this include re-engagement strategies, parental support, home visits, transportation to and from school. Shout out to Lyft and that partnership. I'm sure you know the name Brendan Joyce or some others that are working on that. Credit recovery, grade recovery, day recovery. It's interesting. I saw credit recovery and I'm like, you teaching them financial lit? But I know what you mean as far as credit. Personalized interventions. This is a model that the administration is taking on even down to Mass and Cass. You talked about it. Every family, every child, every student situation is different. Data and innovation. And so these are some of the key pillars. Folks are asking in the comments, what it is that you can do when the merch comes out, when the buttons come out, when you see the ads on social media. Post, like, share. If you notice a young person that's in the store at 10:30 in the morning, tap them on the shoulder and don't say too much, but just point to them and be like, hey, can you scan that? Like, there are little things. Malia Lazu was on a couple of weeks ago and she talked about organizing, and there's this sort of grassroots piece that we can do, just creating a buzz around this. And so, Cory, I appreciate all that you're doing over at Student Support.
We got a great team. We got a great team.
Yeah, the shout out to Leroy, I think, and I don't want to say his street name, but our brother as well. I only know him as one name. That carries bodies, and I'll just leave that right there. But shout out to and Shanta's in the building. Good to see you. Good to see you. And so we'll Belinda and Shanta, they're naming, Cory, that for some of our young people from Boston, and they're naming some real experiences. I know of 3 that went to HBCUs and was an interesting experience. And so there are some resources like the Panhellenic Council here in Massachusetts. There's the Freedom House. There are some resources available to support your young people that are transitioning.
It's a non-perfect experience.
Yep.
But we rather that navigational tool, the navigational skills that you do, and the experience is one of a kind. Now, did we prepare? did we create spaces to prepare them to go to HBCUs where sometimes you can't get a call back from financial aid, or you haven't seen your bill yet, or like, let's be real, like, folks are still Black.
That's all schools, but
folks are still Black, and the black problems trickled into HBCUs too, right? Like, Like, you're not gonna walk into HBCU and pull their fridge door. You know, like you gotta like there's some navigation. And you know what? The beauty of the tour is that the folks that you meet with, they tell you like, hey, you better be in front of that line at the bursar's office every day.
Remember Drumline? When dude was trying to cut and get around and do all stuff. So anyway, we're not going. Corey, we got to bring you and a couple of educator folks on an after dark and have a real convo and maybe figure out a way how to get our high schoolers to tune into it and have a real convo about some of the stuff that they try to do to get over, focusing, waiting. Don't get man. Okay, we're gonna get in trouble.
We'll talk.
I
appreciate you having us on. Follow our Win Today campaign, folks. Where you see a sign, there's a QR code. If you see a student, if you know a student that's struggling, if you know a family that's struggling, no matter what language they speak, please fill out the form for them. Use the form, use the resources. Call me. It doesn't matter.
We have
a student support hotline on there.
The student support hotline. What's that number? Right.
It's on the website. So
you got to tell me. I'm in 5 screens.
Oh yeah, you are. I'll tell you right now.
Gotta look it up too.
I gotta look. Hey, I can't be running around all these phones. You got AT&T and C.
Okay.
AT&T and C. 617-858-7881.
7881.
Yep. Text and call. I mean, I think what we. My last thing is like what's repeated is most important. So we realize that the more visible we are, the more kids realize, damn, I can't get rid of them. So I may as well just go to school, or some things will resonate. One thing about our kids, it may take a little bit longer, but they start listening after a while, and they really do. The message it's not always clear, but it does settle in with them and it does resonate. You just gotta get them to 24. Our kids got to live before 24. All
right, I see something going on in here. I'll address that later. But all right, let me get off of here and get you off of here too, Corey. But that is the student support number 617-858-7881 to get that information. And there's a lot of parents in here and folks saying about your work as far as a coach. And the kids know when it's genuine. And so, Corey, we appreciate all that you're doing there at BPS. And another thing that y'all can do, participate in these hearings. When you hear about budget hearings and things like that, go to those hearings and testify about the support and investments that's needed in student support. The news and media has a name that one area that didn't experience as much cuts is in a lot of student support and investments made. And so hopefully that will continue to be the case, not just at level funding, but increased funding as well. And so I'm going to get you off of here before I get too political.
Don't worry about it. We appreciate you. Thank you for having us on, right? This is on behalf of my whole team and our folks here at BPS. We appreciate your platform, and our kids make us better, right? We're not, I haven't been employed since I've been in working with kids. I just happen to get money every few weeks to pay my bills, or I spend it on the other kids. So it's just what it is. So I appreciate you, Ben, and I hope really if folks need me, you know where to find me. I'll pick up.
Sir. All right, Corey. Thank you, and give the team
brother. Thank you
all day, man. All day.
All right. Take care.
All right, folks. That was a lot today. Now let me go in here. What happened? Who told Belinda what about? I don't want us to get anything misconstrued. In the comments or whatever, this black man told me I wasn't prepared. Belinda, I don't know what's going on, but I'm looking in the comments to see if it was somebody else. But anyway, all right, I'm going to get ready to wrap up, folks. UCB, if I can get off of here in 2 minutes, y'all get 90 minutes today, which is crazy. But Dr. Brandy, we appreciate her coming in, and Corey as well. Definitely an interesting and informative session today for Mental Health Monday, just hearing about what we can do to support our young people. Shout out to everybody that was listening over on Instagram. Boston by Chloe was on, and others. And Ty also, Ty was also on Instagram. Wow. Yeah, because she moves to education as well. Those transitional periods, elementary to middle school, middle to high school, so many students struggle academically, but those social impacts are so noticeable. And so thank you to everybody that listened on there. All right, we're getting off of here. Belinda said it's all good at what he does, and I'm still going to celebrate him, support him and his work. It may have just been something misconstrued, Belinda, between these comments and then on here, but thank you for that. And we're going to get ready to go. Listen, we have a lot planned for you this week. Let me just get to the schedule and we'll put the flyers up in just a couple of seconds. But on tomorrow morning, I am speaking with, okay, where are we at? On Tuesday, April 2nd, I'm speaking with Mark Kennedy and also Dr. Basola Ojakutu of the Boston Public Health Commission. We're going to come in and chat with them about prostate cancer and a little bit of men's health and some other things that the Boston Public Health Commission is working on. And then on Wednesday at 9 a.m., now listen, especially for the trolls that come in looking for the mayor at 9 a.m., we're beginning that session at 9 a.m. with Alex Edwards of Thumbprint Realty. He and others are putting together the New England Wealth Summit. If you all have heard about it, it is a summit taking place to build wealth. And if you haven't heard, if you would like to go, there is a code, capital JAVA. We'll hear more about that on Wednesday, where you get 50% off the registration. And yes, you're making an investment in yourself in the registration. And so that's taking place on Wednesday at 9 a.m. And then at 9:30, Mayor Wu will join us. We have a lot to chat with her about this session, budget cuts and some other things. We're coming up on a time of year where a lot of folks are paying a lot of attention to a lot of things with violence and whatnot. So we're going to check in around that as well. And then on Thursday, y'all are stuck with, let me back up a little bit. Wednesday evening at 4 p.m., we will be at Boston Public Market. I'm encouraging all my City Hall friends and State House friends and those of you that work downtown, stop by Boston Public Market. Some will call it Haymarket, but Boston Public Market downtown across from the JFK building in the back there. We're doing a live show there at 4 p.m. The tap room across the way will be open until 7. So come and we're going to have a good time there. Then on Thursday, just Jimmy with me. And then that's it for the week. Also keep in mind, next weekend, we will be at the Boston Marathon. The weekend after that or close to that, we will participate with the Museum of Science for their Earth Day. And then on April 30th, there's another event coming up where you will be able to go get some information about the hospitality industry here in Boston. So April is already booked. May 11th, don't forget, is the health fair. May 12th is Mother's Day. And then I think that's it. So we're getting ready to get off of here. Look who's in the room, y'all. Ro is in the room. Good morning, Ro. Belinda said, Alex Edwards' beautiful wife, Joanna, does so much in the community and walk in Black excellence. Absolutely. And y'all done got your daggone 2 hours for UCB. I'm getting off of here. Ro, good to see you in the room. Belinda said their parents probably had a bad experience because they did not prepare their children. It again, that is, he said probably, Belinda. So anyway, I think that is it for today. I think that's it. So I'm getting off of here. Again, shout out to everybody that was over. Satara, who came to the Java anniversary last week and just chilled and hung out and was supportive just to be there. We appreciate you so much. Belinda, appreciate you staying on too and all that you do to support the cafe, Mama Java and others. Miss Teresa, this is a map of Boston, y'all, that Miss Teresa made for me. I'm getting off of here. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., we're going to talk about men's health and prostate cancer. All right. We'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great day, everybody. And thank you for joining us for the whole 92 minutes today. All right, y'all. Peace.